We're now working the underhook. How do we get to this underhook position, or how do we end up here? Well, one really common way, probably the most common way, is we've got the knee shield and we managed to sit up and get our underhook here. It's talking about underhook when their knees on the ground. We might end up in half guard from the front headlock position, the half guard with the underhook, so I can often get my underhook, shoot my leg through, and we now have our underhook half guard position here. I can sometimes have the underhook from underneath side control and be pushing on the knee, and that can be enough to trap and end up in this underhook half guard position. Another common way we'll end up with the underhook in half guard is if Tim is in like cross-face underhook, like so. I do my John Wayne sweep and put your knee down. Yeah, sorry, because otherwise we'll have the other position. I go for the John Wayne sweep and Tim posts his arm to balance. I can now get my underhook and be getting up on my side back into this underhook half guard position. So there, the main ways we'll end up here. Okay. So this section, we've got the underhook. But what do we need to do from here? Okay, so there's a few options that I would say are a favorable outcome for me, which I'm looking to do. One of them, if we can, I want to start getting up. If I can pop my head out to the back and come up to the back, this is great. Okay. Another option, if we get up, is to get into this position, which we call the dog fight here, like this. Okay, which is another section we'll work on, but we want to try and get to here when we can. We have the ability to do a roll under sweep to come on top. There's sometimes we will have to switch to the waiter sweep position, or the waiter position, where we can start to set up a bunch of attacks from here. And the single leg. Okay, so got the underhook. Anytime Tim stands up, I have to start thinking about going to the single leg and attacking from there. Okay, so Tim gets the underhook on me. If I'm on top, what are some of my options here? Okay, one of them, I can start standing up and trying to bring my far knee across to the far side. Okay, if I can do this, it really kills the underhook, and I can start to set up a pass from here. I might be looking to control Tim's arm here. If he can't get up on this arm, he's really going to struggle to finish any sort of sweeps. There's a bunch of ways I can go about holding this arm. I might switch across the body like this and try to come into like a switch base pass, which again will kill the ability to use the underhook. I might try to back step. So usually if I'm going to back step, I'll try to free my leg and then go to back step from there. This can let me set up for leg lock entries, or can let me re-pummel my underhook, or to try to pass from the back step position. Or from on top, I might start looking at catching head arm grips to go for chokes, or coming through towards the darts as well. Alright, so we've got our underhook. We're going to do the basic underhook sweep from there. Actually, I'll just quickly go. So we've got our frames. Check the entry in the previous section on the knee shield. We open the space, sit up, and we get our underhook here. As quick as possible, getting around the corner, keeping your head in good position, and having your elbow back so Tim can't drive me back flat on my back. Okay, pulling tight with this underhook to keep my shoulder pressured against his ribs. And I really want my forearm locked tight against the lower back. So I grip and I lock my elbow down, pulling towards me. From here, I want to change my legs. So my inside leg is trapped, and I want to have my outside leg trapping his leg. So I'm going to just pull forward a little bit to open a bit of space, take my left leg over the top, and take my right leg out. From here, we're going to apply the pressure on the knee. So if we turn around now, I've got the underhook, I switch feet, I need to apply pressure on this knee. You can stay up on the elbow, that's fine. Pull the foot back and as close to your hips as you can. Okay? The more you do this, the better pressure you're going to have for the drive. Okay? Real common problem people do, they just get the leg here and they try to get up. I have very poor drive forward with my bridge when I'm like this. The more my leg is back relative to my hips, the better I can bridge. Okay? Because I'm going to bridge into Tim's leg, which is going to let me free my right leg. Okay? Again, let's have a look at this. A really common problem when people do this sweep is they can't get this leg out. And they try to do this. To get out, they go. You can see how awkward that is. There's no way Tim's going to allow that to occur. Okay? Let me just show you that from the other end. When I'm trying to get my leg out, there's no way Tim's going to let me do this without just like passing or countering. Okay? I have to have a better way of freeing my leg. I can't just pull it through his leg. That's where the bridge occurs. Watch what happens to his knee when I drag the leg and I push my hips in like this. Okay? His knee has lifted off the ground. I'll have a look at that from the other angle. Around here again. Underhook, switch feet, drag the foot close to your hips, watch his knee lift as I bridge. Okay? Then step out wide on this foot. So I've switched feet now. My left knee now blocks Tim's knee like this, and my right foot is out wide. Like that. Okay? Pressuring with my chest. Holding tight. The reason I'm out on this, because I've got some good drive. A lot of variance in how we have our arm placement, how we use the legs to get up and so on. We're going to go through some of these little variants in a moment. Just do that. So when we get the underhook, this is actually, you should always do this if it's available. Most good guys will not give you this option, but sometimes you can force it. But basically, if Tim doesn't block my head from coming out to the back, then I'm just gonna take my head out towards the back. So let's say you put your hand on the mat up here. Sometimes this can happen. You get a chance to take your head out, then you just do that. Okay, you don't have to worry about changing your feet or anything. I'm already in good position. Once my head's out, I can come up and go straight for the seat belt. So we can, without a doubt, when we get the underhook, if they're not controlling our head, take it out and then immediately close the gap. So now I just don't want that arm coming back in front of me. So I just want to pull my chest nice and tight so that arm's kind of stuck here. Okay? I don't want to pop my head out like this where he can re-pummel the underhook. Once we're there, we get up and we can get our seat belt nice and easy. All right. Most of the time they won't give you this. They'll be blocking your head or using a whizzer, or they'll post more wide. So you can see if Tim posts more like wide on the ground there, my head doesn't come out the back. But if he posts his, whatever reason, his hands are that far forward, always take your head out and go for the back. One option, especially sometimes Tim he'll be leaning in, he'll have his knee, some people will flare their knee, but give you a bit of access to that foot that is underneath. So sometimes that will be my first grip. So I can actually take his base out that way away at the same time as I go for the underhook. So we're here, we can be underhooking and reaching here. Now when I do this, turn around a little. I definitely, instead of grabbing the shin, I actually prefer reaching around towards right towards the toes here and starting to pull in, okay? To flare it flares his knee out, but he has no base back in this direction. Okay. From here, when you have this grip, you can actually change your underhook to being lower down. So when I move around the corner, let's turn a slight bit more this way. So once I get my pressure on the leg and I start to come up, I will often actually switch. Okay, like this. Now, once I've got this, I should be able to get up. One way Tim can sometimes free it is by turning away and like, imagine I slip the grip on his foot, so just, yeah. Okay, so I just want to reinforce this grip on the toes by gripping the shin. Okay, so try and free that now, Tim. And I should have really good control here. Okay. Now with this, I can start to get up on my right elbow. Let's turn around again. I can start getting up on my right elbow here, head driving in, and really hard for Tim to base. And go here, go to the hip, or stay on the leg as we go down.
Yep.
So the roll under sweep, I've got the underhook. Tim has an overhook here like this. This is what I'm going to go for, the roll under sweep, which is basically, we're going to come underneath and roll through to get on top. Now, I can do this at any point during the half guard sweep if I feel Tim's overhooking and driving into me. Okay, so I can do it here, or I could be just up, getting up here, or I could be all the way up in his drive. Okay, so at any point if you feel that pressure, we can go for this particular sweep. Let's go through some really important details to this. First of all, how does Tim stop it? Well, one way he stops it is by posting. Okay, so if I roll and he posts out, I don't get the underhook, this sweep to work. So I want to try to prevent Tim from posting by pulling really tight with my elbow and my shoulder to try to compress his arm here like this. Makes it a little harder for Tim to remove his hand. If you can see here, my elbow is pulling back, locking his hand in. So even though I've got the underhook, I'm pulling back, okay? Hard for Tim to stop that. The second thing he could possibly do is stay heavy with his hips out on that side. Now it's hard to actually roll his momentum forward, okay? If he's heavy on his hips, he's not stopping me getting up, so I'm going to be going for the get up sweep. But remember, we want to roll more, or with this we actually want to roll more through this way than just side on, okay? So even though he could be heavy there, I'm really getting myself underneath to make sure I can roll Tim through. Now let's start using our legs and our hips to start forcing Tim to roll underneath. Have a look at what I do. So when I've caught, when I've caught the leg like this, I drag the foot like we did for the previous sweep. I drag the foot and I pull my foot all the way back like this. From here, I want to let Tim free his knee. It's actually going to be easier to roll him over because right now I don't have a good bridge to turn him. So if we look around from this angle, I'm going to allow Tim's knee here to free, like that, okay? Now, when I use my right foot on the mat, I can bring my hips up and lift him using my hips, assisting with the roll. So I'm gonna do this. I drag the leg, go down on my side, let him free his knee, and then I start to scoot myself underneath Tim. See, I'm walking to my right to take him to the left. Really common problem, trying to pull over. I can't pull him over the top of me. I need to move myself underneath Tim. All right, another common problem, which just happened. Tim posted. If he posted that leg, it's hard for me to get up. So let's go back. This is where my right hand's really important. It might be that initially I push, sometimes to assist with the movement. Sometimes, other times I might feel good to get him over. But as he starts to go over, I want to reach underneath and pull the leg tight to my chest, okay? Look how long it's going to take to try and post with this leg, Tim. He's not going to post until I'm all the way on top. Okay? Too late. Okay? So let's have a look at it all in one motion now. Go back to the half guard. I sit up, I've got the underhook. I drag the leg, let his knee free. We can come under, start to scoot underneath and bridge over our shoulder to get on top. Or the other option is a bit more of a roll through when we get it really going over my right shoulder and we're going for a bridge here like this. But regardless, that knee pressure is really important with that hips. Things that I think people mess up a little bit with this. One, actually three things. They don't trap the arm properly. They try to do it while the knee is not out. And they try to roll over from here instead of scooting underneath. Okay. Actually, one other thing as well. If we go back, I need to be going like trying to take him over this way, not sideways. Okay. So I'm not trying to roll Tim sideways. I'm rolling him over more forwards, over his shoulder. So again, we're here. I want to go through and take him over this way instead of rolling, trying to take him sideways like that, which won't work. A really nice drill to get used to mixing the roll under sweep with the getting up with the standard half guard sweep. So I'm here like this. Tim's gonna overhook. And I'm gonna roll under. And just like at a certain point, so he's gonna balance here, or I'm gonna let him balance again. And as he goes back, I'm gonna be getting up to here, and then back underneath, okay? And we're getting used to coming here. As we go back, we'll bring our elbow above our head and coming through. So let's just get used to the timing. Sometimes Tim's gonna balance a bit earlier, and I come back up. Sometimes he's not gonna let me get up at all. So sometimes I roll through, and then they'll let me get back up, and then I roll back again. And so differing resistance at different levels gets me used to, no matter how far through I am, when Tim drives back into me, I should be able to roll under. When he leans too much away so that I can't roll under, go back the other way. So I can't pull him over, I've always got the chance to start getting up. We have to react really quick to the changes in Tim's balance and continue with the move that's appropriate. There's a good drill for that. Yep. When we go for the roll under sweep, often you go for it and the person will post. Okay, so as I come through to do it, Tim posts. If that's the case, I'm going to pop my head out towards the back. Just one common issue that can arise, you go to put your head out and it hits into their arm because their arm's in the way. So what I'm going to do is I bump forward again. Now there's plenty of room to pop my head out and come out the back. So have a look from this side, you see my knee working. We go up, I start trying to do the roll under sweep, sorry, I go here, Tim posts, and just to make sure I can get my head out, I unlock my legs for a moment, knee up the back of the hips, come out the back, and we can start coming up. One really important thing when you get the underhook is to get around the corner as quick as possible. I'll show you what I mean by that. As soon as I get my underhook, if my hand or my elbow's on the mat and I'm scooting around trying to get around the corner. Even if it means I have to lose a bit of tension on my right foot, this is a much better position for me. Okay, so what I do is I use my outside leg on the mat to scoot me around the corner while I'm up on my elbow or my hand. So the actual movement will come from this leg being planted. So I'll just be right here. But we'll get the underhook and I get around the corner nice and quick. Really important because this is going to stop Tim from flattening me out. If I just get the underhook here and I don't go around the corner, Tim can drive me back pretty strong. Even if I get a good post on my right hand, there's a good chance if Tim drives his pressure correctly, he can still get me over. But once I get around the corner and I'm posting, this is next to impossible. Okay, so really, one of the first things, every time you underhook, get around the corner as fast as you can, man, as far as you can. So we're going to go through some important principles. One of them is that I always want to be on my side, or even it's not even necessarily on my side, but I want to be facing my chest more towards the ground than towards the ceiling. Okay, anytime I'm here, it's pretty easy for Tim to flatten me out. And again, my underhook's not that useful if I'm flat. So I really want to be on my side, and once I get on my side, I need to be staying on my side. The key thing for doing that is I need to be up on my right arm, or at least even if I go down on the arm, have my elbow or shoulder behind me. Sometimes you'll even reach here like this, but you tend to still stay on your side. So a lot of the time we want to be on our side. There are some instances where we will roll flat to our back to try to bump them forward, but that's usually pretty quickly followed by getting back up on our side. So my elbow has to be behind my base. So Tim, drive me flat here. My elbow's doing a good job there, okay? If your elbow's forward, even though I'm up on my arm, here he's gonna be able to pull me back, and he can also start to control that arm really well, okay? So the key to being on our side is actually retracting our elbow out. Try to get your opponent to be in line or more in front of you. The more they cut across, so the more of an angle Tim goes this way, the harder it's gonna be to use my underhook. The more I'm able to get him in line with me, like this, or even further, the easier it's gonna be to start forming some attacks. Just another concept, try not to get up with this leg. It's pretty rare that keeping this leg attached still is the right time to try to get up on top. It's a really common mistake I see. People get the underhook and they go like this, and then I got very poor balance here and not really much going for me to actually complete the sweep, okay? I wanna be changing my feet so that this leg's free, so I can get up on this leg. Okay, now I've got some drive to actually finish the takedown. So generally when we want to get up, we want to be freeing our bottom leg and trapping with our outside leg. One thing that's really good, if you can, is to try to apply pressure to your opponent's hip and knee to turn them away from you. So when I can, I want to be dragging this foot out, twisting Tim's knee and applying pressure with my hips. You can see that's turned his hips away from me, and it stops Tim being able to face me, which is where he gets his most effective attacks. Now, so really what we're wanting is pressure coming into the knee with our hips and pulling back with our foot. The more, the better. Okay, that really turns Tim's hips and it stops him from turning to face him. Another principle, I need to stay tight with the underhook. Okay, so an underhook, I can't leave a big gap like this. Here I've got no tightness with the underhook and Tim can just re-pummel. I lose all my control and it's now really bad. So when I get the underhook, I want to grip, ideally, this is in ideal position, I'm going to go through when to grip where, but ideally when I'm gripping, I'm pulling myself towards it, so I'm closing this gap with my chest coming forward like this. Okay, this attaches me to Tim. So when he tries to roll his hips away, for example, it's gonna let me follow him pretty easily. Okay? So we're gonna go left and right, and I'm attached to him like this. The more he can make space, the worse this is gonna be for me. When we go for our attacks, we always want to have at least two options that they need to be thinking about, and there's almost always that available. They can block one thing, but there's usually at least a couple of other options you can go for, and you need to be mixing between the two and threatening one and then the other, so they can't find a place to just block one particular move. For example, if Tim does the whizzer, like an overhook, I can't get out to the back now, but I can still get up and start trying to drive through him, and I can still roll underneath. So if I threaten the both of these, I can start really messing with Tim's base still and still really attack the sweep. Head positioning is really important, especially in no-gi. People are going to try and get a hold of your neck, and it is quite a dangerous. It can be a dangerous game to play if someone's good at attacking the neck. So we need to be really careful about where we're putting our head. The worst thing you can do is leave your head just dangling in space. Okay, Tim can set up the dust. He can get like a guillotine grip as well. It's all going to be pretty bad here because he can move around and get my head where I want it. Best case, if I can have my head up close to, like under his chin is really hard for Tim to attack me. So under the chin is good. Sometimes you might want to be a bit lower or even just towards the shoulder. Okay, so if I'm near the shoulder, if Tim tries to catch my head, I can track him pretty well here. Okay. The other place I might want my head, again, not in this no man's land here, you can sometimes dive your head all the way through. Okay? It can be hard for Tim when my head's so close to his hips to actually gain any good grips. Lastly, try to keep good posture with the head. If I'm like this, it closes the gap between my, like I don't want this gap between my arm and my head to be thin. So if my head's bent, it's actually a bigger gap. The more I'm actually keeping my chest forward and head back, it's hard for them to get any head and arm grips. We do need to think about this far leg. It's often one that we don't think about too much, but this is going to be Tim's base when I do get up to go for the sweep. So if you can pull in and you can reach sometimes underneath the shin, and pulling in, you're right? Yeah. And pulling in tight, sometimes underneath the knee, so if you go back out. Like this, nice and wide here, pulling in to minimize his base. Even if you keep your knee out, just to stop him basing out further as you get up. So this can be a nice way to control the leg. But also with this leg, sometimes you're reaching down to here, and sometimes we're all the way at the hip to try to pull the hips forward. Okay. Also, especially when Tim's trying to drive, like if he starts trying to drive towards a 3/4 mount and driving across like this, we also sometimes actually push on this leg. So if we go back a moment, if he wants to get his knee across to here, if I block his leg, it can actually stop his momentum, try to go to 3/4 mount. Sometimes this will help us be able to force him back onto the inside by actually pushing on that leg. So we'll see the different scenarios, but we're going to have some different ways of dealing with that and controlling that leg using our bottom arm. So where we place the underhook is going to be relative to where Tim is in relation to me. So if Tim is across my body, then reaching for the hip does very little to, like I get no power with this underhook. The more Tim goes across my body, the more I want to get it up under the armpit or potentially even further just before the elbow here, okay? This is the biggest lever, so Tim, you can put your head next to my hips. This is the biggest lever to stop him doing that. I can be using that to counteract him being across. So we just turn around. I can use a bridge with my left leg and get some power behind this underhook. Put your head near my hips. I can get here, bridge. I've got the largest lever to actually start to turn him in line with me. Okay? Once he is in line with me, I want the hips. Okay? Because the hips are a good way to start working to get on top. Now, so as we get more in line, we go to the hips. If Tim stands up, I do not keep the underhook here. He can easily go towards mount. Okay, so we go back. As soon as they stand up, our underhook has to change to the leg. Okay, we go to the inside of the knee, and we keep the knee on the inside of our chest, here like this. Okay, just turn around a bit more. Like this, okay? We do not let the knee come out to this side of our body. Lastly, sometimes you get low enough. Sometimes, go back into half curve. Yep. Sometimes you get low enough that you can actually reach your underhook underneath from the hip to grab the far leg as well. Okay, this can be good, and this is a nice way to ensure they have no base when you come up to sweep. Okay. We don't always do that, but that is one option. When my head is on this side, so as I said, sometimes when you come up for the underhook, it might be that Tim's like been framing against my head or something. Sometimes you have to come up with your head on this side. Okay. The way I place the underhook here is slightly different in that if I'm trying to reach around to the back, I will give him a big opening here. If you can see that, you've got a big opening to pummel his underhook back himself, like that, okay? So when I come with my head right across, I actually try to get my shoulder connected and give it much less space. So we're here, and get my shoulder forward, so my underhook is like this, okay? So when Tim's trying to pummel here, it's much more difficult for him to get through. And then as I get up and push in, I get around the corner and I can get my underhook around the hip, okay? So again, if my head's on this side, you know, we're fighting here. I come up, shoulder forward, up, and we get around. I wanna, if I need, sometimes it's not, like you don't get such a deep underhook. One way of trying to deepen the underhook, we have this repeated movement we're going to go through where we get up, deepen the underhook, and then it'll be a certain point where that stops. So if Tim's being like tight with his arms, okay, that's about as far as it's going to go. So we have to get up and then roll his hips forward. So we're going to go underneath. And now, as I brought him forward, you can see my hand here can go further and deeper. I get back up again, reach it deeper, rolling forward, and this repeated process of rolling under and getting up is the way we're going to deepen our underhook and get it to the hip where we want it eventually. Turn around, boys. I'm going to show you. My head poking out. Oh. Hello. One really common problem you're going to encounter is, I mentioned this a bit earlier, but trying to free this right leg, or trying to get up from here. Okay, so we're going to switch the feet. One way, as I said earlier, so I'll explain it very briefly here. We curl the foot, bridge in, And then as we bridge, the hips lift, the knee lifts off the ground. We come out and we put our left knee to the mat. There's one other way I like to do this, especially if I'm finding a lot of pressure when I'm trying to get up. I actually tend to sprawl out. So I can go down on my shoulder here like this, and I'm going to curl this leg back. Okay, I curl, and that starts to lift the knee. Yeah, so keep your knee down, Tim. I curl, extend, bring my elbow back, and I come up via a sprawl to the same position. Okay, let's have a look at that from the other angle. We're here. Maybe the original one, he's got so much pressure that I still can't get up. I'm going to curl, I'll bring my arm above my head, sprawl until I get out and up onto my right leg like this. Alright, this one, I get the underhook, and I have a fair bit of trouble getting up to my knees. The first time I'm going to use the elbow above the head, but he's going to uchimata me straight back down. So you notice I went like the belly down sort of option to get up. And this second time, he's going to go to Jedi to back step. I'm going to Jedi mind trick, but he goes back and bails on the back step. And I come back up with a standard get up from half guard. So watch here, he goes to back step. I go for the Jedi, he goes back, and then I use the standard get up, and then I do something similar to the standard takedown from dogfight. Just sometimes people have this problem where they've done everything right, they go to get up into the dogfight, and then Tim will free his leg as he does that. Yeah, I lose the leg. Now, if that's happening, it has to do with the angle and the way you're positioning your legs. So I want to curl the leg fully. The more I've turned his hips, again, this is why this knee twist is important. The more I've turned his hips, he has to almost turn his back to free his leg. So for example, if I don't turn his hips and I just got up the crappy way here, he could pull it just straight out like that. When I have twisted the leg like this, and I get up, Tim has to take his leg out this way. Much easier to chase him down when he does that. Second, as I get up, my left knee has to go down to the mat. So I bridge in, and I put my knee down, okay? I also add to the knee twist by taking my knee more this way. Okay? So now when Tim wants to free that leg, it'll be very difficult to do. He almost has to fall over to try to free that leg. So you can see the pressure I've got on this leg is very different to getting up and pointing out this way, where he's got much more of a chance to free the leg. So I'm bridging on my left leg, my left knee is going to go down, my right leg has to go up. Like this. Okay? This is good positioning for the dogfight, which we're going to cover later. Alright, so sometimes when
You're trying to aspect, don't you?
Yeah.
Cover. Okay.
Sometimes when I go for the underhook and I try to catch with my left leg, a lot of people have trouble catching this. I'll show you what I mean. I'm here, I get the underhook and sit down and hide this foot tight. Yeah. So I'm trying to catch this, and that's really difficult to get. So if I can bring his hips forward, that is going to expose the foot. Okay? But sometimes they sit really low, and that's difficult to do. If that's the case, one way, if I can, I want to get my knee behind the hips again and bump into the hips. Okay, so if I can get this, that's going to add a little extra time to scoop and collect that leg, and we can continue with our attempt to get up. There's a few other ways we can do it as well. Sit really back and hide your feet. Sometimes, like if he's so tight with that, I can't actually get around the corner. I don't know if you can see here, but I can't scoot around anymore, and I can't lift his hips at least and stay in my good position. It's possible from here that I take my right foot out from being a hook, not freeing his leg, so I've still got my heel over the top here, but my foot is now hooked to the inside. And from here, I can use that to push it open and change. Okay, again, we're here. I take my foot to the outside, push, and chain. If that's not working, I'm gonna reach all the way under the hips and roll flat on my back. Not like, but underneath, on this side angle like this, yeah? Okay, keep your knee bent here, Tim. So I can't catch the leg, but what I can do, I can extend my right leg like this to straighten his leg, okay? So my right leg, go again, works to extend that leg. I pass it to my left leg. I go all the way to the ankle, curl it up, and I start to get my pressure. I can go straight for the roll under sweep here, or if he balances out this way, I've got more. All right, coming out to the back. Really like balance. So yeah, go down on this knee. Yeah, and we come up. Cool. One other option. Yeah. One other option, if I just can't get anything to work and I manage to get good control of this posting arm here, I can switch to a butterfly and I'm in perfect position to get a butterfly sweep. So if you can see, when Tim is hiding, he's actually flaring his knee out, giving me a good butterfly lever when I want to actually sweep. So the more he's defending me getting here, the easier it's going to be when I feed my butterfly hook through. So I've got control of this arm, I can lift and sweep. Let's have a look at that from the other angle. So we're here. Tim's making it really difficult for me to get this, so I'm going to control this wrist, try to pull that in. If I've got good control there, or on the elbow, I make a little bit of space with my hips, feed my hook, and then I start to roll through onto my shoulder. Ideally right foot on the mat, lifting the hips, sweeping over. Just on butterfly sweep, guys. You can get your right foot to actually disengage this foot, put it on the mat. It's gonna aid in lifting your legs to sweep. Instead of just doing this, I can use my right foot to get some extra power. So this is easily one of the most common and probably, to be honest, this is probably the best way to defend the underhook, is trying to take the right leg out and drive towards 3/4 mount. Okay? It totally kills anything I want to do with the underhook if he's able to do this. So let's go through how we try to stop that. When early on, if I've got the hip grip, or sometimes if he's forcing me to stay on the hip grip by, he might be like overhooking as well, or whatever, but for the sake of it, let's do without actually. But this knee starts to come across. If I can catch it early, again, right leg to the ankle, left leg nice and high to the knee. We do this knee scissor to force the knee back in on this side. Okay. If I do that at a decent speed, I'll force the knee back down. And because of the positioning, again, we're going to change to our left foot hooking, extending and sprawling up. Let's have a look at that from the back. I'm here. Tim goes to get up. Force it in. Jamming behind the knee with the thigh. This one catching the ankle. We're facing belly down now. Switch feet. So the left leg hooks. We can start getting up on our right leg into the dogfight position. single leg. So I've got the underhook, Tim stands up, I want to grab the knee. I have to, no point grabbing it here when it's on the outside of my hips. I have to make sure when I grab the knee that I force it to the inside. From here, keep my head positioning, and I'm going to stand up and attack the single leg. Okay, sometimes when I get this, if I'm struggling to go down, I will go like knee behind my own elbow as well and use a combination of the single leg and the knee pinch, okay? And then depending how Tim reacts, if he starts trying to free that leg again, I've got better positioning to come up for the single leg, or I go back to the hip for the half guard. So, here, okay. Here like this. So because Tim's committing his hips over this way, what I might be able to do, if I block this leg, slow him down for a moment, I'm going to come underneath with my right hand, right leg towards my chest, and then when I get on my left side, we're going to end up in this modified X position like this, okay? Now we can do the modified X sweep as we've done earlier, so push away and go to get up. If Tim is not as committed forward, so his leg there, I can keep your hips heavy here. I can swing my leg wide and through to the waiter position too. Okay, let me just go through that. Both feet are going under the hip. The feet have to extend to get his legs straight. Swing. And then once you reach knees pointing upwards, my knees curl straight towards my chest. I'm hoping as that happens, it lifts his knee and gives me room to pummel my left hand behind my back, collect his leg, and bend through to the waiter sweep position. So effectively, I think it's called waiter sweep because it's like we're balancing plates on our hands here. Okay, but you can see here, I've got a few options to attack the legs or sweeps. Without a doubt, you'll come into times when your head's been poking through when you get the underhook and they get the crossface here like this. Now, Tim's aim here is going to be to drive me flat And then he's gonna have a few options, try to pummel his underhook, for example, from there. All right, so if you can get it on your side enough, the crossface is not going to be extremely effective. And the more I bump him forward, the less useful his crossface is. So if Tim's really low and he crossfaces me here, this is gonna suck, okay? But the more I bump him forward, just come more forward. Crossface me here, Tim. But you can see he's struggling already to get in front of my head. So we're gonna work to get him forward with this. Again, this is a really common theme, but we're gonna use our elbow to help deal with this problem. So Tim's got the crossface. I'm actually gonna sit up into the crossface like this, okay? Now, from here, I'm gonna try to bump him forward using my left leg behind his hips, like this, okay? To lose the crossface. Have a look at that from the other side so you can see my knee bump. I'm going for the underhook, Tim gets the crossface. Okay, elbow back, sit up, push into him, okay? Tim, keep trying to drive me flat. The more he drives into me, the better this bump's gonna work, okay? Right behind the hips, he's totally lost his crossface. I do the same motion again, but now I've got a good underhook without having to deal with the crossface. We'll keep that one.
Yeah.
Is that yours?
No, it's mine.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah. I prefer that than calling me Tom.
Yeah, occasionally I
Yeah, you done it a second time.
Yeah. Now, when Tim's got the crossface and I do the bump, one, it helps with the bump a little bit, but I actually like extend my head away a little bit, like this. Okay, so I don't, for that, even though I'm driving forward into it at first to get the reaction, I don't keep my head forward and bump, okay? I actually like move my head away as I bump him forward. So if I can show that without Tim, just so you can see, it's kind of, we're here, and I go like that, okay? That motion clears him right off the crossface, and he has to post on that hand. So a really common and difficult thing to deal with is if Tim's, like he is now, his head's close to my hips, he's killed my underhook by really getting low, and like I've got very poor leverage to move him with this underhook. So we're gonna have to have some subtle little movements and usually lots of movements to try to work to get our underhook back from here. So I'm gonna have to use a lot of the bridging motion. So I'm gonna put my left foot out wide so I can start to push. And I'm gonna bridge like this, okay? And then as I drop, it just lets me get my hand. See how my hand's gone through a little deeper? So again, here, I bridge up, I lift my shoulder off the ground. As I drop the shoulder, the hand goes a little deeper. Okay? I've got a little more purchase on this underhook now. Again, and I scoot back on my left side, but each time I do that, I'm getting a bit deeper with the underhook. Okay, now I'm getting my underhook high near the shoulder, and you can see Tim started to square up towards me, so his head's no longer down near my hips. This now gives me a good chance to try to turn onto my right side and actually get a hip underhook. Okay, let's just do that process once more. So I should turn upside on a bit. So Tim stays really tight here. Okay, last little bit as well for this bit. See, I like swing my both knees up to bump his hips forward. Once I've got him somewhat square here, I can like bump his hips forward with my legs like this. As I throw him over, that gives me a good angle for this underhook. I've got the underhook. Tim starts to control this arm. If he's got the elbow grip, usually actually, because I can't, I want to keep my underhook tight. Instead, I'm actually going to go further through, but just reach this arm under the legs and pull him forward. I'll probably actually make him post on this hand anyway, but I'll sit up, come underneath the hips, and see how he's posted with that arm now? Because I've rolled his hips up off the ground. Now I can come back if I need to block that arm, that's fine, or I can just be getting back up on my arm where I wanted it to be. If he pins the arm, it's similar to from the knee shield guard. I want to try and get my head in towards the bicep so he can't follow that grip, and we can circle out from there. sometimes Tim will control my elbow here like this, okay? We're talking about if he controls my wrist actually. If he controls my wrist, I tend to try to use my head to sort of drive in and pull and free my elbow. But when he grabs my elbow itself and holds that, obviously this doesn't work because I got nothing to pull against that. Usually from here, I try to swing my hand to the outside and then my hand above my head and back here. Okay? Now, like Tim's gonna really struggle to reach that arm. I can get up into him and then I come back to where I wanted to be with the fight going again. Okay, so again, Tim will control that arm. I'm gonna try to swim my hand to the, I can't take it out here, so I'm gonna swim my hand to the outside, bring it above my head and high, push up, and we fall back in where we can actually grip fight again from a better position. All right, I talked about head positioning in front of the shoulder or under the chin or really close to the hips to avoid Tim from grabbing like a guillotine grip, but let's say he does. Okay, so he's managed to catch my head or my head and my arm, yep. If I can turn his hips away, it's gonna be very difficult for Tim to finish. So what I'd first do, I would look to roll to my back, extend, and switch feet, okay? Then we're going to do the sprawl style, the knee twist pressure. Okay, so we just turn a little bit. When I pressure Tim's knee, just like with the roll under sweep, how do you feel about your ability to finish a choke here, Tim?
Not very good.
Can you turn to face me? No. So this stops him turning in to actually apply pressure with the choke. And if I roll up from this, then I'm on the good side to defend the guillotine. So when I come up, yeah, I put my head nice and high. I've landed pretty much past the guard on the better side here. If I land on the other side, which you won't, but this is no good, I'm gonna get choked. By being on this side, he shouldn't be able to choke me. My head should be able to open up, or we can just wait, unpeel the grips, and we're out.
I was trying to stay tight on top of the shoulder, but without letting you speak still.
Yeah. All right, cool. Now, if you're a little bit further through, so sometimes you roll, and if Tim's smart, he starts to lift this knee up a bit as well. Yeah, so now this is hard for me to twist the leg. Try to force the leg back in. Have a watch of this motion. Okay. So, I'm gonna scissor my leg. This one catches the ankle. Left one catches the knee. My hand's gonna assist. I'm gonna try and force his knee back in. Okay. Now, this curl will hold the leg bent. So try and free your leg here, Tim. Okay. This keeps it bent until I can pass to my left leg to do the same. Okay, so I'm putting pressure with my hips here to keep his leg bent. I know he wants to get it up off the ground. So if you start trying to fiddle around, trying to change it like this already, it's going to be too late. Okay, so I want to keep a lot of pressure down, pinning his knee towards the mat. Free, exchange, pulling back, so my hips are still pressuring his knee to the mat. And now I've got good ability to put that tension back on the knee. Force the roll, come up on top, head nice and high. The more high I drive my head here, the less chance he's got at choking me. He goes for the guillotine. I roll back, but this time he does free the knee. Put you now, yeah. And I don't feel like I'm too late. Like my knee can't actually get behind the knee to turn it back in. Now, everything's got to be focused on defending, okay? Because at defending the hands, you're in a really bad spot. So both hands need to come towards disengaging the hands from the neck. Focus mostly on the choking hand here, because this is the main one that's going to get you. And we're going to start trying to peel that off, okay? Once we get our head free, or once, even from here, if Tim tries to rotate to different positions, I've got a good chance at defending because I've got that choking hand under control. But we're going to work to slowly free our head, be like this, and hold that arm so he cannot connect his hands again. Alright, in this one, what you will see is that Kit has a guillotine with his left hand around my neck, or it's really just a chin strap at the moment, it's not really a guillotine, but there's always going to be a threat of the choke if I make a little mistake here. But I'm also trying to not let him pass the guard with that, so you can see my right arm's framing and my right knee's just in. So he actually does get just around, but I bump him forward, and I now have my underhook. And now I'm a little more worried about the guillotine because of his positioning here. So I'm going to start to fight to control the choking arm. But I really just want you to have a look at two things here. One, I control the choking arm. And two, I'm going to really try and elevate him to make him think about posting, which lets me reset the position. So ready for it. I'm going to roll back and really lift up. And you'll see it resets us back into just a general knee shield position. So I'm peeling off the hand now. Roll back and... I've got the underhook, and Tim's going to come for the knee cut and straight into the dust. Yes, like this. Okay. This is obviously another very dangerous position. I have one defense which I use where I try to actually take my head through the gap in front of his chest. I'll show you it, and then we'll go through the details. I go here, and I start to roll through this gap to free my head. Okay, so I'm actually, it seems counterintuitive, but I'm actually bringing my head, Tim turns, up this way. Have a look from here. My head goes into the middle, so you'll feel, often for a split second, it'll tighten as you bring your head back, but then when you roll your head through, you'll see there actually is a gap to free your head to escape from this. The next best thing I can do, if I can, I'm going to roll to my back and start trying to control both of these arms. Both hands on the choking arm, which is now the right arm. Okay? So I'm going to get underneath this, or I'm going to grab my own leg and I'm going to extend to break the grip. I have to deal with the grip once he's got it though. Early on, if I see someone going for it, I try to pull my elbow back. So I've still got the underhook, but now my forearm sits in front. So when he tries to connect here, there's no chance he finishes the bars with that. It's too easy for me to disengage from. So if you catch it early and you think they've got a good chance, try to roll back, get your forearm back in front, get your head out of the way, and then you can come back, twisting the legs and working from there. I've got the underhook. Quite common for people to dive over the top to take the Kimura, especially when you're up on your hand. Yeah, if you ever come up on your hand here, Tim dives through and he rolls into a position, something like this. Okay. First of all, head positioning should make that really difficult. So we've got my head in front of him here like this. He's gonna have to really dive quite far to get over. My head's down, easy. Yep. Alright, let's say my head is down, Tim does catch this. This is how I try to defend from here. I'm going to keep Tim trapped here just for a moment using my hand. I'm going to break this grip using my shin against the knee. Okay, so Tim, hold on to your grip. I'm going to pull back and down like this. I have to be quick. I'm going to break it here And then he's going to want to just take it again. So if I just break it and stop, he's going to try and take it. So I have to be quick. I break, circle my hand, come through and grip the back of the head. Try and get your Kimura grip now. Okay. From here, head goes to the mat, into a bridge. We're going to roll up on top.
Try from there, yep.
We're going to practice a drill to get used to entering the waiter sweep, and then if we fail in catching the leg, swinging back into our underhook half guard. So I sit up, I underhook, I'm going to swing wide and my hips up into waiter sweep. Okay. Then I'm going to let go of the leg, extend, swing back into the underhook half guard. And we're going to keep going through like this, like that. So notice my leg here, when I start to lose the grip here, my leg kicks Tim's leg out and swings it back to catch. Look from back, a little bit from here. The butt angle, best one. Alright, so I've got my underhook. Let's try to link some of the things I can do from here. First thing is always try to catch the leg, come up, and get on top for the takedown. If Tim drives in a lot with the whizzer, we're going to roll through underneath and do the roll under sweep. If I go for the roll under sweep and he posts, we're going to bump forward, come out the back, and there are three main sweeps. If Tim stands up and starts going towards 3/4 mount, we either jam the knee back down and continue our attack, or come up into the single leg and start to chase that single leg from there. If he's blocking me with a crossface, like this, I want to get up further, knee in the butt, and move the head away. Okay? Back up into position and attacking from there. If he's crossed the body from the underhook, then I need to start working in incremental steps. I'm getting higher on that underhook, more on my side, until I can get the hip and start continuing my attack.